Ladies and gentlemen, this interview is brought to you by Burn It Up Coaching and our 21-day challenge. And if you have been putting off till tomorrow what you can do today, if you've been vaguely dissatisfied and unhappy and not really sure why you're not producing the results that you want, you feel lost, you feel stuck, feel like you're spinning your wheels, then the 21-day challenge is for you, because my clients hire me to get that clarity, to dial in the single-minded focus over a period of 21 days. If you don't want to wait, a year, 6 months, 3 months, you want action, you want results now, the 21-day transformation and challenge will help you get that. Single-minded focused, daily check-ins, weekly deep dive calls so that you can unplug all that nasty crap in your mind and the self-sabotage, get rid of that, as well as dialing in your daily habits and routines so that you can succeed. That's what we accomplish in the 21-day challenge, so you can succeed like never before. If you're interested, send me a message, contact me on Facebook or through whatever means possible that you find emails great too. That's the 21-day challenge. As far as the iTunes review of the week, this one is from Rosie Rosebud. Chris inspires with his wisdom, energy, and brilliance. He asks profound questions of his guests so you can learn strategies to help yourself become your greatest self. His heart is big to help others. Be sure to subscribe to keep inspired on your journey. So if you are looking to become your greatest possible self and take the step in the right direction to be and become the best version, definitely stay tuned and leave us a review. If you love the show, definitely leave us a review on beyourgps.com/iTunes. You can find it there, or search iTunes, Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self, or search it on Facebook, Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self. We'd love to hear from you. Now, for the woman of the hour, Karen Brown. She's competed in one of the toughest races in the world and finished. Karen Brown has combined her experience as an Ironman World Championship competitor with scientifically proven coaching techniques into a program to help leaders unlimit their beliefs and excel in ways they've only dreamed of. In fact, that's the title of her book, Unlimiting Your Beliefs. Karen facilitates higher levels of success in others through keynote speeches, presentations, and workshops for corporations, professional associations, and business groups. She and her national team also coaches leaders individually through her company, Velocity Leadership Consulting. This CEO has an inspiring story. Karen, are you ready to rock this?
I am ready to rock the house. She's marathon man.
That's right. We do marathons around here. You and I, we get it. Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on today, Karen. You are a superstar, and we're grateful to have you. And we're going to dive right into the question of the day, which is the self-image healing. So, Karen, how do you heal your self-image? How has this concept played an important role in your life?
It has played an important role because once I came to understand that the number one scientific way that we all hold ourselves back from our potential is through limiting beliefs. And it took me 28 short, long, grueling years to come to that discovery. And so that's one of the main reasons I wrote the book, because once I understood that, then I thought, oh my gosh, if it took me 28 years to find this and to figure it out, I want to decrease that time for everyone out there. This should be accessible to everyone, along with the way to conquer and transform limiting beliefs so that we can achieve whatever we want.
Yes, please. Yes, please. I love it. So that search that you did, 28 years, that is like a lot of time to invest into a profession, into, becoming your greatest possible self. So we're going to dive into that journey and what that was like. But before we get there, why don't we talk a little bit more about Velocity Consulting, leadership consulting, and what you got going on today?
What we've got going on today is at Velocity Leadership Consulting, what we do with the leaders that we work with is, first of all, we're experts in the field of leadership and professional performance. So I know a lot of your listeners are, top achievers. And what we found is that, that only gets you so far, grit, determination, willpower, all those kinds of things, conscious kind of endeavors. And I know this territory well. That's what I did for 28 years before I actually was able to break through my limiting beliefs and become the person I am now. So that's what we do with leaders. And it's because of the type of work we do, which is all through the unconscious mind. These are all scientifically proven techniques through science. And that's how we work with leaders to help them break through to, maybe break through their current plateaus of performance and understanding into the next levels that they're really looking to achieve.
Wow. That's beautiful. So before we continue, if you're listening or watching this right now, live or replay, if you have any questions about anything that Karen says, be sure to ask them, because we're going to be diving into the science of this stuff. And I think that's something that is missing sometimes from personal development and mindset and coaching. Is people have a lot of great theories and a lot of feel-good stuff, but I really love diving into how the mechanism works in our brain, in our mind, in the body, all that good stuff. So I'm excited to dive into that. And if you have questions, be sure to ask them. And then Karen, let's go back, because you're doing all this amazing stuff in velocity consulting and leadership consulting right now. Let's go back on the journey and tell us about what that was like. You completed a huge marathon. And before we get there, just take us to some of the challenging points. If that was one of those pivotal points, I'm sure it is. Let's cover that, and let's cover what were those milestones, the determining moments of your career, of your life along that journey, and the wisdom that you picked up along the way.
Okay. Wow. You just said a lot. Okay. Whoa. All right. So, first of all, the reason it was 28 years is because during that time I was outwardly successful. I was climbing the corporate ladder. Then I became an entrepreneur, and, all of that came pretty swiftly for me. I'll say I was kind of a natural leader, if there is such a thing. Although I do believe that leaders are made, not born. Totally. I think you can have certain innate skills, in the way your mind works, that might make you gravitate to that and be naturally talented at it a bit. But this is where our work with leaders comes in, because that only gets you so far, right? And that could be a mantra of my life, that I'm not actually talented at anything. And now let me back up just a little bit. I am a really talented coach, and that comes fairly easily to me because I'm a genuine student of human beings. I just love understanding and unpacking what makes individuals tick. And that's probably why, we're so successful at the work that we do with people. And it also was, I was a business coach for that 28-year period through being a leader, right? So whatever industry I was in, I really gravitated toward coaching. And back then it wasn't even called coaching. It was called team building, right? You were just expected to be a good boss and to build your team and to bring out the best in others. Well, now it's called, being a coach. And, I think because I did well in that, I also sort of hid behind it because it was fairly easy to me. It came easy. It came naturally. And what I found is there were these natural barriers that we couldn't get past. Look at Chris is hydrating up for his marathon. I love it.
You know it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You got to fuel properly to perform well.
Dehydration is not a natural barrier for me. I'm a crush it.
Yeah. Okay. So, where was I? What I was doing. Yeah. And I found myself only doing things that I was sure that I could accomplish until I thought about the Ironman World Championships. And then that caused me to have this whale of emotions well up inside of me, along with this nagging feeling that was, well, what if I have that capability inside of me and I'm not using it? Wow. What if I'm squandering it? What if I'm capable of so much more? And that feeling was right. I mean, that feeling is intuition for us, right? And I also had the overwhelming sense that I would throw up because the Ironman was just so huge. It was so gigantic. I literally like couldn't get my arms and mind around how I would do it. And then here's what happened. Every single time I went through this thought process and feeling these emotions, the limiting belief would come into my mind and it would stop me every time. And my limiting belief about it was, well, they're elite athletes, you know, that compete in Kona, and I'm a recreational athlete. They're up here, I'm down here. How could I possibly get there? And that's the essence of a limiting belief. Like, it really works like this in your brain, where anytime you catch yourself thinking or saying, well, I don't have enough talent, time, support, money, whatever to achieve that, that is a limiting belief. And like I said, this is all rooted in science. So, you know, once we provide the show note links at the end, you can go look this stuff up and find out, you know, the ways to conquer and transform all of these things that happen in your unconscious brain. Because this is also going to be a little bit of an education today about how our unconscious mind works and, you know, the actions that it drives in us every day and the thoughts that it drives. Okay. So that limiting belief would pop up and boom, just like that, I would throw that dream out the window. And basically that's how your unconscious mind works, because think about it this way. Think about caveman brain. That's what your unconscious mind was created for. One of the reasons, to keep you safe when we were cavemen. So it immediately has to size up friend, foe, or food. Right? And most of the time, and this is called negative bias, you can look this up. Most of the time, it's going to err on the side of that something that you are presented with, an idea like the Ironman for me, or something that's coming at you outside of yourself. Most of the time, it's going to err on the negative side. Right. Like, that's a threat. That's going to be uncomfortable. We're not going to be able to do that. The other thing that it hones in on and brings to bear is past patterns. So, you know, if along my journey, you know, in that 28 years, if say I jumped off a pier at a lake and I had a bad experience with it, like I was scared, or maybe I went to swim club with, or like learned to swim with my mother or one of my parents. And it was really hard for me and it was uncomfortable and I had a tough time with it and I didn't like it. Well, the unconscious mind is simplistic enough that it will take a couple of experiences like that as patterns. And then when I start thinking about the Ironman as an adult, which involves a 2.4-mile swim in the ocean, by the way, the unconscious mind will go, oh, wait a minute. These other times in our past are just like that time, this time in the Ironman, and that was horrible. That's uncomfortable. We're not going to do that. We can't do that. Right? So that's exactly how this stuff works. And most of the time we are unconscious about it. We're not conscious of it, that it's happening, right? So I'm a prime example. For 28 years, I was athletic. I was a runner, a mountain biker. I played on a boys basketball team, a championship, girls fast pitch softball team. I mean, I was very sporty and athletic, and I competed in races, but only in races that I knew I could finish. And because these patterns and this limiting belief was playing itself over and over like a broken record in my unconscious mind. But that whole time, 28 years, I was not consciously aware of that's what was going on. I just knew that I would think of the Ironman, I'd be overcome with emotion. I felt like maybe I had inside of me the capability to do it. And then all of a sudden I would stop myself. And this perpetuated every single year. So in 2010, I actually went to a class where I learned about limiting beliefs. And then I also learned how to conquer them. Yes. And once I did, it's like the light bulb went on and I came back in touch with my Ironman dream. And I thought, wait a minute, I am the only one who has been holding myself back from pursuing this. No one has been standing in my way saying, well, you can't do that. You can't possibly finish that. Once I came to grips with that awareness, that conscious awareness of it, and then I had the scientific tool to alleviate it, to change it, I went all in. I thought, I am done holding myself back. And I hired a coach. I found a coach. I hired a coach. I actually had to talk a coach into taking me on. And then by using that key, unlimiting my beliefs, and 6 others that I discovered along the journey, I crossed the finish line in Kona, Hawaii in 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang.
And that's at age 44.
Woo!
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was not a spring chicken.
That's incredible. So, like, you saw the pattern that kept playing out in your life, and you're like, what is going on? What is going on? What is going on? And you found the solution, which you said is, the conscious awareness, first off, of what is going on. You went to this course, went to this class, hired coaches, got the tools that you needed to be able to overcome this. And then that's what had you be able to cross that finish line in Kona within 2 years of like making a decision and making it happen.
Yes. Now let me add one more thing, because this is so germane to the name of your podcast, which is Greatest Possible Self, right? So that nagging feeling that I would have, that intuition, if you will, that what if I'm capable of doing something like that and I'm just squandering it? Well, that was my greatest possible self knocking on the door.
Yes.
Like, this is, hello, open the door. This is your gateway to your greatest possible self.
Yes.
But one of the things that would also come up for me, and I'm sure it's true with your listeners, is I would think about this Ironman dream and think, well, that's a personal dream and it has no effect on my professional performance or my business, right? Man. They were two separate things. But I couldn't have been more wrong. Yeah. That's why this thing was persisting. So there's a wonderful scientist by the name of Carl Jung, that's Jung, if you're looking that up, a psychologist. And what he says is what was happening for me. What you resist persists and grows until you deal with it. So that intuition that I had, that nagging feeling, it got worse and worse and worse over 28 years. Until I finally, found the tool that I needed and dealt with it, right? And that provided the biggest opening for me. That was the gateway to my capability and my potential in my business, in my professional performance, in everything. I mean, it cast a huge light in all of everything that I was doing, relationships, professional, personal, everything. That it elevated everything I had done to that date.
Wow. So the lesson is for our listener or watcher right now, if you have been putting off something big, whether it's in your personal life or your professional life, and you keep getting this nagging feeling that I should be doing this, I should try this, it sounds, like my soul, my spirit, my greatest possible self is calling me forth to do this. If you feel like, it's I can do it later, it's not going to impact me that much, then that it's like we're not even aware. We're blind to the fact that by denying that, it's actually impacting all areas of life, and by achieving and accomplishing it, going after it and just doing our best, crossing the finish line, so to speak, that it will transform how we see ourselves, how we know ourselves in every area of life.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think in this day and age, we're really good at siloing things, right? Well, my business is over here and my personal life is over here, and, they don't really go together. And so here's how I would say it to listeners. And this is key number 2 in the book, after Unlimit Your Beliefs, or Conquer Limiting Beliefs, which is key number 1. So key number 2 is tap into your dream. And here's what I would say. Tap into the biggest, scariest, audacious, ridiculous, outrageous dream that maybe you've never admitted to yourself or anyone else. Maybe even when you think of it, you want to throw up like I did, makes you break out into a cold sweat, hives start to show up. No, I'm kidding about that one. But maybe you also think, if I share this dream with anyone, they're going to laugh at me. Or maybe I don't think this is related in any way, shape, or form to my business or to, what I'm currently doing. No, who cares? That's not the point. Tap into the dream, because when you do that, and then when you take it one step further, what it will look, sound, and feel like to achieve, you keep that in front of you, you tap into that every single day. it will open up doors in everything you were doing. You'll be able to step into your greatest possible self, which then makes everything easier.
Yes, please. Let's do it right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
it's really
So when you go to the site Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Okay, I was going to say, to tap into your dream, it's really to get clear on it, on what it is, the thing that made us afraid before, and then put that in front of us on a daily basis, saying we're going to go after it, we're going to take that on, and get the support and the help that we need to do that.
Yes. And another way that we do that, so visualization, what it will look, feel, and sound like, and also verbalizing it. So when I finally decided that I was going to pursue and go all in on the Ironman, I shared it with everyone. Like I was just short of shouting it from the rooftops, but I might as well have done that, right?
Right.
And I didn't actually know why at the time. Now I do know why, because I'm a subject matter expert in this field. But all of those things, visualization, what it will look, feel, and sound like, and verbalization, right? Those are all access points into your unconscious mind. Yeah. So for a lot of folks, also writing things down, like journaling, that's another access point. So the more that you can verbalize and visualize with these feelings attached to it, the easier something is going to come about. Because here's actually what happens, science of it. So when you verbalize something, I will compete in the Ironman World Championships. Like that's literally what I would say out loud every day, multiple times a day. What I was doing was telling my unconscious mind, that's what I want. Literally, because again, caveman brain, your unconscious mind will do whatever you tell it. So if you're telling it through limiting beliefs, oh, I can't possibly do that, it's going to hear you. And it's going to believe you, right? And then you're always going to back away from it. You're never going to do it. But if you verbalize and you visualize and you use those doorways and you literally tell it, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I want, it goes, oh, okay, that's what Karen wants. That's what Chris wants. Want to run a marathon? Okay, let's do that. And then it starts to allow you to see yourself or to identify with that. So in my unconscious mind, it started to see me as a triathlete. And I had never done a triathlon prior to this. The first marathon I ran was in Hawaii in the race.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So guys, this absolutely works. And not just for me. That's why I keep saying over and over, this is science, right? This is how everybody's brain works. So the idea here is once you understand how your mind works every day, then you can actually rewire it to have it serve you in what you want to actually achieve.
So what I would love to know is, how do we know what's the fastest way to step even more into the identity that we are committed to creating? So you becoming this triathlon or marathon, the Ironman, how is there any
ultra athlete?
Ultra athlete, yes.
Athlete, yeah.
Ultra athlete marathon. So to be able to be that person, like, is there anything that you saw looking back that you would have changed or done differently or done more of to accelerate how you stepped into this identity?
Yes, I would have conquered and transformed my limiting beliefs earlier. Had I known this 28 years earlier, wow, who knows what I could have accomplished. And I can walk everybody through that. And it's also going to be in that link to our show notes, because it starts with asking yourself the question that's going to get through your unconscious mind as to what is holding you back. That uncovers the limiting belief, because a lot of times, clients and audience members will say, well, I'm not even sure what the limiting belief is that's getting in my way. Okay. So the question we start with is, first of all, silence all your devices. I mean, this only takes 3 to 5 minutes. And trust me, the whole world will be there after you turn your device back on.
Yes.
But you got to get away from distraction first, okay? So shut off all devices and then ask yourself this question. What is stopping me from achieving X. Your goal or dream is X.
Mm-hmm.
What is stopping me from achieving it? And if you haven't done this before, your first reaction may be, I don't know. And that's normal, okay? Because if you haven't spent any time in your unconscious mind, that's the conscious mind's response. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Right.
Keep asking yourself the question, because the answers are in there.
Yeah.
And what I discovered is, even though I knew this number one, like, limiting belief that I had, well, they're elite athletes and I'm a recreational athlete. What I came to discover in asking myself this question is there were a lot more limiting beliefs rolling around in my head like rocks.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all stopping me, right? I ended up with a whole page of them.
Wow.
Right? And it's because we're not consciously aware of them.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't even know. So when you ask this question, it absolutely like unearths all of them, and then just capture them on the form that we provide you in the link on the show notes. Capture all of them. Then what you do is you've got to actively change those thoughts in the moment. So a second ago, I talked about rewiring, you know, like once you understand how your brain works, then you actively rewire it. Well, here's how that works. Basically, take that list of limiting beliefs where you've written down every limiting belief that you have in the left-hand side, left-hand margin of the page. Then in the right-hand side of the page, write down the opposite form of that belief, which is the unlimiting belief, right? So for me, mine was, I will compete in the Ironman World Championships. And then I did the same thing for every single one throughout the page. Then capture that page, carry it with you all the time. Take a picture of it on your phone, carry that with you. If you're a journal person, write this in your journal, carry that with you. The point is, now once you've captured those limiting beliefs, you are going to become consciously aware when you're thinking them. And then how we rewire that thought pattern is when you catch yourself having that thought, that limiting belief, stop what you're doing and verbalize the unlimiting version of that belief. So I would literally stop in my office and say, I will compete in the Ironman World Championships. And you can bet I got some funny stares and some chuckles, and I laughed right along with them. And then I kept on going.
Yes.
Because you know what? You can bring other people along with your journey, just like I have. See, I'm on a mission to eradicate limiting beliefs because I don't believe there needs to be anything that stops us. Yes. Right. Yeah. Everybody can do this.
Yes.
And think about how transformed our world will be when no one suffers from limiting beliefs any longer.
Oh my gosh.
Right? So when you do this, when you verbalize it in front of others, of course they're going to ask you, what did you just do? Why did you just say that out of nowhere? Have some fun with this. Be real, be authentic, share it, help other people, right? Tell them what you're doing. You can even share the tools I'm going to provide you.
Wow.
Do it.
This is awesome, because I think one place that comes to mind is in the gym, right? When we're at the gym and we're not achieving the results that we want, like maybe it's a guy wanting to get bigger, or, we're attempting to release weight back to the universe, whatever it might be, right? Like when we say that out loud, people are going to be like, what? But it's going to be such a great conversation starter because it's people in the gym. And I think there's a really isolationist mindset in the gym. If you're running at the gym or working out at the gym, maybe you do it elsewhere. But at the gym, I know for me, if I want to bulk, I want to get bigger, right? And if I say these unlimiting beliefs of I'm committed to being bigger, to putting on 20 pounds of muscle or whatever that is for me, and I say that out loud, people are going to look at me like, what? But they're going to hear it and they're going to be like inspired. They're going to be curious. They're going to say, what is this guy doing? And it's going to create conversation, which will allow me to share even more in depth about who I am and who I'm becoming in that process.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely right. Here's the other thing that happens from that, Chris. I'm so glad you brought up that point because it's absolutely true. The more people I shared this with, I realized that the next time I saw them, they were going to ask me about it.
Ooh.
Hello, accountability. Whoa. Yeah, this is like the organic kind of accountability, right? Yep. I'm not paying anybody to do it. I haven't asked anybody to do it. and they're just interested, right?
Yeah.
It also created a great connection between us, right? An authentic connection.
It's real.
And those of us in business, I mean, we know that this life comes down to relationships, right?
Yeah.
And we need a strong connection for that viable relationship. Well, this was it. I mean, people were asking me all the time, hey, how's that going? And then they would actually send me emails or, with resources that they came across or a podcast that they heard or somebody that they met that might have, helpful information for me. Or they would send me a handwritten note and say, I just want to support you. I want you to know I'm behind you. And you can bet I took out those handwritten notes on the days when I had 3 really tough workouts and I was questioning whether I had what it took to continue. Wow. Yeah. I mean, this is a great support network, support system, and we can all help each other with that because you say this in the gym, you start a conversation with someone and then they ask you about it next time. Well, guess what? You can ask them about, oh yeah, what's your dream? How can I support you? You want to verbalize it with me? Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Hey, we're all in this together, people. Yes. Might as well help each other.
Yes. And really, it's through that conversation. We have a conversation with ourselves, right? And I would love to know, like, if there's science about this, but how I understand it is we have a conversation with ourselves and we have these thoughts that come up, and it's our self-talk, our self-image, our self-identity, and the conversation with ourselves that gives us who we are. And the more times we create that conversation of who we are with other people or who we want to be, then the more that conversation is like strengthened in our own mind. What's the link between conversations with other people and our thoughts about ourselves and their thoughts about us? How do they see us, and how does that affect our identity and perception of ourselves?
Oh, that's a great question. And you're on the right track already. So the most powerful thing is how we see ourselves and how we verbalize that. That's the most powerful thing. But especially when we're young, like our formative years, particularly 0 to 7 specifically, and then also those adolescent years when, we're so tender and we're so vulnerable, we are really subject to what people say about us during that time and the identity that they place on us. Because, this is where client work comes in. If we're seeing a pattern that is keeping someone stuck, we'll say, where did that come from? Where was that pattern created? Where did you learn that? I'm always, 20 pounds heavy, or, something that I struggled with was I'm not a fast runner, right? Well, when I first started running in middle school, the person that taught me how to run, looked at my form and, I was I was in okay shape, but, I'm in middle school, for goodness sake, right? And that person said, oh, you're not so much a fast runner. I believed it. So my unconscious mind held on to that.
Oh, man.
Again, it held on to patterns. Wow. Because think of it this way. Your unconscious mind is like your cell phone battery. It's always looking to save power, to save juice. And if you're always doing brand new, unique, creative thinking that it's not done before, I mean, when you do that, it is really taxing.
Yeah.
I know all of us have had those kind of planning days where you can't eat enough food and then you just fall into bed dead that night. That's why, because your unconscious mind is just exhausted.
Yeah.
So the more your unconscious mind can identify patterns of thinking and patterns of experiences, the more juice it saves. So anything that, somebody told you that really resonated in some way, in your experience, and what you say about yourself, those are the 2 greatest things that feed into what you think about yourself. What is your identity?
Wow. Perfect. That definitely helps out a lot. Thank you. Yeah. Awesome. So I know there's more keys, more stuff to cover, right? How do we become limitless with our beliefs?
Absolutely. Unlimiting in our beliefs, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Limitless, of course.
Yes.
Yeah. So the other keys are, one of them I actually already slipped, which is verbalization. And what goes along with that is making a decision. So for 28 years, I hadn't made a decision at all about the Ironman. right? I was just suffering from limiting beliefs. I didn't know what that was. And then when I finally came to understand that that was the problem and conquered and transformed it, then I consciously made a decision. You know, I'm done holding myself back from this, and I am going to go all in and pursue it. That was the decision. Like, come hell or high water, I don't care what it takes. I am going to do this, and I'm going to see it through. Then I verbalized it to everyone who would listen. Okay. Yep. Then that leads into the next one, which is do whatever it takes, and schedule equals goals. So as I mentioned before, I was an athlete, prior to this and leading up to it, which meant I would go to the gym 5 days a week. I would do strength training. I would do cardio. I was a runner. I was a mountain biker, and, various other things. But that was really the extent of it. So when I jumped into the Ironman, what it took was 2 to 3 workouts a day, 6 days a week, up to a total of about 40 hours at the zenith, at the pinnacle of my training. And in that 40 hours, I'm counting workouts, I'm counting chiropractic, physical therapy, massage, because you have to do some other things that nobody tells you about until you actually jump into this and figure it out for yourself to keep your body performing at a really high level. Right. Because it's not just, it doesn't just do this like automatically by happenstance, unless maybe you're 20 years old, and then that's a whole different show. But, and so that's my point. You're going to come across and discover things that you didn't realize you would have to do to achieve your dream. And so that's why I pointed out in the book, it's do whatever it's going to take, because I discovered plenty. Trainings and races and equipment and logistics. I'll just be real with everybody. I sucked at logistics prior to this. Like, I could not think of redundancies to make sure that I had everything I needed. And there's a very funny story in the book at my first Ironman in Texas, where I was running around like a crazy chicken because I didn't think of redundancies. You're probably good at that with your background, but I was terrible at it. So there's going to be those things that pop up, and it's really important that when they pop up, you don't just go, this is too difficult, I'm out. No, because you're never going to achieve it. So do whatever it takes, and then schedule equals goals. So I was pretty good at scheduling myself, and I had to raise my game. I had to find a whole nother gear for this, and I had to learn to say no to things that were going to get in my way. Like, I had to start going to bed at 8:30 at night so that I could get up at 3:30 in the morning, be at the pool by 4, and do 2 workouts, and, put on my Jane Jetson pretty professional face and clothing to get to the office by 8:30. Right. And I had to, pack clothes and all of my toiletries and all of my food. Like, I would have to prep food over the weekend so that I had all of my meals planned out and ready to go for the week, because there was no time to just, make something on the fly or figure out what I was hungry for and then make it. No. So schedule equals goals. I became the queen of the schedule, and I became really good at saying no. And what I call this in the book is having no discipline. It's a play on words on purpose. Yes. Because I don't think we're very good at saying no to things that are going to keep us from achieving our dream. Yeah. Most of them revolve around this thing.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. I also had to have a hard stop at work at 5:30. How many of us have a hard stop, or really incorporate a hard stop, or even, ask questions about, meetings. Hey, does the meeting need to be 30 minutes long, or can we do it in 10? Do we even need a meeting? Let's question everything, because we need to align ourselves with what it's actually going to take, and the time and the commitment it's going to take to achieve the goal. Yeah. So you got to recalibrate on that.
Yeah, and the process of unlimiting is like, what are the limits that I know now? Was it like, well, the limits are my schedule's from 9 to 5 or 8 to 5. That's like, that just has to be it. Okay, maybe, and maybe there's another way to do it. Working from home, working from other places, different ways to have people facilitate teams, jump in, help out, so that we're able to, maybe the solution would be to jump out during lunch to do a workout instead of that morning if that didn't work. So just being flexible and resourceful in the approach of achieving the goal.
Yeah, absolutely great points, Chris. Yeah, and I'll be real with everybody. It was during this time that I was pursuing the Ironman that I actually learned that my cell phone and other notifications had a silent position or an off button. Right? Because I think we're so connected and we think, that's more efficient. It's really not. And you're right. However you're currently executing things is another thing that is limiting your success, limiting your results. And it's not until you come into contact with a big, audacious dream like this that it really causes you to look at it differently and then see those things that, are going to get in your way, that are going to drain your time and your energy to be able to perform on it. Also, asking for help is one of the other keys. And, you and I both being coaches, maybe for the achievers in the audience, asking for help is not such an easy thing. It wasn't for me. I wasn't accustomed to that. And what I discovered is when I verbalized my dream with everyone, it was so much easier for me to ask for help. And a lot of times it was just offered up. I didn't even have to ask it. And I sort of backed into this one in this way because somebody offered me help. And I thought, help? Wow, what a novel concept. Yeah. It happened right at the beginning when I just verbalized it to a person I just met at a barbecue. And I didn't even know what I didn't know about pursuing this yet. Right. And the person said, well, I bet you want to hire a coach, don't you? Well, what a great idea, I thought to myself. And I said, acting all cool on the outside, I said, yeah, I do. And I said, do you know anyone? He goes, yeah, I do. Unbelievable. Look how that worked. So actually through him, I found my first coach, talked her into taking me on. But that's a big thing, in our society, especially with Google and, all the millions, billions of websites and do it yourself. It's so easy. YouTube, good for goodness sake. And I'm here to tell you, the quickest way to accomplish something is to ask for help and to hire a coach.
Yes.
Right? Because what I also discovered is you can't coach yourself.
Nope.
Nope. You cannot coach yourself because you can't see blind spots. Yeah. You can't see what you're avoiding, right? A coach can, and they will call you out on it, which is really helpful. Also, you can't count on friends and family and loved ones to hold you accountable. They are not going to do it. They don't want to see you suffer. And I did plenty of suffering pursuing the Ironman, but it's what I wanted, right? My mom would say, why are you putting your poor body through this? And, now I'm a world-class international ultra athlete today, and I love doing what I do. This is my expansive vehicle of choice, right? But to my mother, who had a totally different perspective, she felt like I was just, beating myself up, right? So there was no way she was going to hold me accountable on anything. Hey, did you do your 3 workouts today? She wasn't going to say that. Nope. Yeah, exactly. Your coach will hold you accountable. Yeah. And your coach provides that safe space where you can confide in them and say, hey, look, I'm kind of scared right now. Oh, and your coach can say, oh, is that a limiting belief? Or, where does that come from? What's your fear based on? What's the evidence of it? All those things that we really, really need, to be able to push ourselves past our perceived limits.
Yes. Beautiful. Beautiful. So that brings me right into my next question, which is, for you, what are you focusing on? How are you unlimiting yourself now? How are you healing your self-image now? What's that next thing? I know you mentioned eradicating limiting beliefs. That's like your big mission. So what are you bumping up against in the mission and vision of that?
Oh, just that there's so much noise out there. There's 2 million bits of information coming at us every single day, and that is increasing every single day. So honestly, it takes so much just to get through that noise with the message, because there are also 2 million bits of information vying for our attention every day, right? And to break through with someone so that they understand, hey, this is the number one key that's going to unlock everything that you've got going on. This is the number one scientifically proven thing that's holding you back. Like that I find is just, that's the real challenge of it, is just getting through to so many people. And that's why, I'm putting forth this mission, because, we can all help each other. And when something becomes, when something goes from a mission to a movement, like take Me Too. Wow. Look at Me Too. That's a prime example. Also look at the high school kids with gun control. That's become a movement. It's when something becomes a movement, and it really goes viral, that's when things actually change. Yeah. And I'm doing the same thing with the leadership side. So my company, Velocity Leadership Consulting, because here's the truth. Out of all the leaders out there, and if you're leading yourself, or you're leading a team, or you're leading an entire company, that's what I'm talking about, right? We're all basically leaders, right? Well, out of all of them that we could work with, only about 40%, and this is sad, only about 40% are, first of all, aware enough that they can make improvements, and they're ready and willing to do the work. The other 60% are still blind, and they're pointing at everybody else going, no, it's them, not me. I'm awesome. They suck. They need to change. Or if they have woken up and realized that it's them, they don't want to do the work yet. So that's what I'm going after mission wise in terms of leadership, professional performance, and coaching, because I think that's where the biggest difference can be made. When you become aware of these things and you change your own patterns and you understand how human thought patterns and behavior works, you can help other people too. And you can be so much more effective, and you'll be authentic, you'll be open, you'll be compassionate, you'll be understanding. And again, just like the mission of eradicating limiting beliefs, these two things will absolutely transform our entire world. It'll transform ourselves, our daily life, and everybody around us.
What would it take to ignite a movement of leadership, to because I'm just thinking about in terms of unlimiting and playing the game, so to speak, like how do we unlimit that? Hey, there's 40% of leaders who are actually aware, and of that percentage, only a certain percentage are willing to do the work, right? How do we ignite that percentage to spread leadership even more? I think it's going on in some forms and shapes right now. And how do we make it go viral? What do we have to believe to make it go viral?
Yeah. Great question, Chris. So I'm playing around with the same thing, and I actually want to test something out with your audience, if I could.
Awesome. Yes.
So based on the way the brain works, right? There's got to be some sort of opener, which is unfortunately usually pain, right? Because most of the population will take action in a response or avoidance to pain, right? When we're avoiding pain, either we're in pain and we're trying to run away from it, we're escaping it, or we see pain coming and we want to get out of the way of the pain. We don't want to experience the pain. That's action, right? And knowing that there has to be some opener with the leaders who are still blind. And the opener is usually when things get so bad, like there's a revolving door, or, and the reputation of that leader is now on the street, like, oh, this company is terrible to work for, their CEO is awful, or whatever. Now, it may take a long time to get there and a lot of sacrificial lambs to get there. I mean, take a look at Glassdoor, right? And what I find is the biggest opener is when folks working with that leader, whether you're a peer, a friend, you are a team member, whatever role you're in, it doesn't matter. But if you see something that by articulating it, by giving that feedback to that leader will open them up, and you can say it in a caring, very neutral way. You don't have to be snarky about it. You don't have to be snippy. That is usually the biggest opener. And it is the thing that I see holding so many people back, because nobody wants to be in conflict. Oh, that's not my place to tell the leader that. They're going to figure it out, whatever. So here's my question for your audience. I've thought about this. And just like with the Me Too movement, everybody loves to actually tell on someone, right? If they don't have to face that person, they don't mind outing them, right? Especially if there's going to be no reprisals, right? If they don't know who it was, but it's put in front of the leader, then, oh, cool. Yeah, let's do that. So here's my idea. What if there was a website that you could go to where you could basically report bad leaders? And maybe that's not the name of it. I don't know what the name of it would be, but you basically just put their information in there. And I don't care why you think they're a bad leader or what happened. I don't care about that. We're not looking for drama here. It's not a soap opera site. Okay. It's not a reality show. The Kardashians are not involved. Okay. All you do is say, Jim Smith, let's just say that, because neither you or I are bad leaders, right? Jim Smith is a poor leader. You can tell us why if you want to. You don't have to. And then give us Jim's contact information. Then it is completely confidential. Nobody sees it but us. That's it. We don't even want your name. We don't want the name of the company. Nothing. Okay. Nobody else in the world sees it. Then we take that information and we call them and say, hey, Jim, it's Karen, CEO of Velocity Leadership Consulting.
Damn.
You were actually reported on badbosses.com. And why do you think that is?
Wow.
Yeah. Talk about an opener.
Wow.
Yeah. And say, I would also say, and you know what? You know why this happened? Because your team members can't come to you and say this. That's why they came to our anonymous site and they left this information. They want something to change. What do you think you could change that would be? And then honestly, the really bad bosses, they're going to get reported a number of times. So, Jim Smith is going to get the 5th call from us. And I'm going to say, Jim, again, it's your best buddy, Karen. You got reported again. What do you think you should do?
Oh my God. That's a great idea.
Feedback on this. Yeah. I can tell that you're digging it, right, Chris?
I am.
Yeah. Guys, there's got to be an opener, right? And for Harvey Weinstein, what was the opener? Yeah, it was everybody finally coming out and saying, yeah, me too. This happened to me too. And I'm not going to keep quiet about it anymore. Right? There's got to be an opener. Otherwise, things don't change.
That's powerful. Super powerful. Karen, great idea. I want to see it blossom. What's next? So you
All
said
right.
the
audience members, give us your feedback. I really want to hear from everybody.
Cool.
I'd love to know what people think about that. Because, if anybody else out there thinks it'll work, I'm game and we'll do it.
Damn, that's awesome. So everyone listening, give Karen that feedback. And I see Pethia said, wow. Laura said, wow, that's an eye-opener, or that's an opener, all right. So so I think we do see it's definitely an opener. So give Karen that feedback. Karen, I love the idea. I love it. I want to see it unfold and be executed, because like I said, like, how do we make it viral? Maybe it's this, maybe it's an offshoot of this, maybe it's like, some kind of like when people are on buses or whatever texting service, who knows when you can catch people when they're in pain, when they're suffering, and they're like, I just want to get this venting out, like blah blah blah, he's a jerk or whatever, but with minimum drama, right? Like report it, get it off their chest, and know that it's being taken care of. So I love the idea. So bringing it home, any last minute final points that we wanted to cover, because this has been awesome. I love diving into the science, into the unlimiting of ourselves and our beliefs. This is gold, Karen.
Yes, this is the last point I want to leave listeners with. First of all, tap into your dream. And if there is maybe a goal or dream that you are pursuing that you just don't seem to be making any headway with, perhaps it's the wrong one. Because if it's not big enough and you're not emotionally tied into it, and it's not stretching you enough. So this is how I open the book, with this new perspective on comfort zones, that they actually keep us like locked in a jail cell.
Yeah.
And that, when we come across people who are actively expanding their comfort zone and taking on maybe more than we think they can do, that's when we should be supportive of them and say, yeah, of course, wholeheartedly, I'm behind you. I'm with you. I know you can do this. And, keep supporting them, right? Because like I said, we're all in it together. So also, maybe it's not big enough. This is something I've learned in transitioning from Ironman, which was the biggest thing I could fathom at the time, to ultra endurance athletics, which, guys, this is like, races of 50 miles or more that, in some cases take me 34, 35 hours and over a whole night to complete. And I travel all over the world to do these. Well, this is one way I now expand myself. But I learned that it's the same kind of premise with everything in my business and my relationships. And it's actually from Grant Cardone, the 10 times rule. Like, it's going bigger, right? So challenge yourself, push yourself to take that idea, that goal, that dream bigger, 10 times it. Think scary, big, audacious, outrageous, ridiculous, humongous, gigantic. Think in those kinds of terms. Blow it up as big as possible, and then look at it, then step into it, then tap into it.
Boom. Love it. Karen, you're bringing the fire, bringing the heat. I love the big vision. That's like what will wake up the world. When we all dream and say, that's possible, I'm going after my dream, and everyone around us says, yeah, you can do that. What do you need? How can I support you? Let's go. Like, let's see it evolve. Like, what are the next step? What's the next step for you? Go do it, and have that encouraging nature, having that possibility nature. I love it. So, Karen, how can people stay connected with you, and what do we want them to do next?
All right. Pick up the book, first of all, because that is your manual. That is your guide on how to unlimit your beliefs and unleash your potential. And you can pick up the book and the show notes, this is the link. Velocity is the name of my company. So VELOCITY, leadershipconsulting.com /GPS. Yeah. And I've got some great tools on there. So first of all, you can order the book. You can download the fillable form on how to conquer limiting beliefs and transform them. That's completely free. I also have a playlist of my 5 best videos on how to actually use these techniques every day. And they're less than 2 minutes each. And you can have a live chat with me. You can provide feedback. You can, get you can stay in touch with us. A lot of different things there. So go to velocityleadershipconsulting.com /GPS.
Boom. Love it. Karen, you are incredible. And thank you for the work that you're doing. I am totally with you 100% in eradicating all the limiting beliefs in our world, because we don't need those anymore. Those may have served us in the past, but no longer. It's all about being and becoming our greatest possible self. I love your energy. I love all that you're accomplishing, pushing your body to the limit. I love that you're helping leadership grow and thrive in the world, and we definitely need you in these times. So thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you. I've loved being on. Oh, and one more important thing. Share this with everybody you know, right?
That's right.
Make
That's
this
right.
viral. Make it a movement. So share the book.
Yes.
Share the link. Share the tools. Share it all, right? We're in a sharing
Share it.
society.
Share
So
it up.
share.
You heard it, people. Share this video. Share the interview. Share the book. Share what Karen is about, because sharing is absolutely what makes the difference and leaves the impact in the world. And you'd want people to share your episode, right? Yes, you would. So, Karen.
Yeah, share my episode.
Karen,
Yeah.
Karen, have the best day ever, and thank you so much for coming on, and keep rocking it, and we'll see you soon, okay?
Thank you for making me part of the marathon. I love it.
Welcome. You're welcome. Woohoo!
All right.
Awesome. Take care, Karen, okay?
Thank you. Bye-bye.